So I think and he has pulled out of so many UN organizations. So certainly he may say that no, I believe in UN, it's a good organization, but then the fact is he's trying to break it down as much as he can. Back to you.
Absolutely. In fact, we will go across live to that visual that's coming in from Davos.
What was happening in Gaza was impossible to solve. 28 hostages that were dead, others that were still living, all these hostages that were being held. No one thought that that would ever come to a resolution without more fighting and more bloodshed along the way. In fact, frankly, many thought it was intractable. And sadly, many of the institutions that have served us well, in many cases, for the last 70 years, were unable to do anything about it. But President Trump had the vision and the courage to dream the impossible, to believe that it was doable, and to pursue it with all of his heart. And he was in that capacity assisted by an extraordinary team, and I think both Jared and Steve deserve a tremendous amount of credit. Jared Kushner and Steve Woodcock for all the work they put in. And all of our partners here today. And now we have this Board of Peace, who I believe's possibilities are endless. Obviously with a focus first and foremost on making sure that this peace deal in Gaza becomes enduring. And I know this president has it as his highest priority and will give it everything he has to make sure that this is successful. I also want to acknowledge the extraordinary leaders that are here today. This is not just a board of peace, this is a board of action. Just like President Trump is a president of action. A lot of times people like to give speeches. I've been to many of these forums, and they're not useless, and they're not, they have utility in many cases. But oftentimes in international affairs, we often find ourselves at events where people are reading these scripted statements, these strongly worded letters that they put out, but no action. Nothing happens. This is a group of leaders that are about action. And the President of the United States is a president of action, of getting things done. And today is the beginning of that, of a new era and a new stage that we think is so important as a model to the rest of the world of what is possible. And clearly the focus is right now on Gaza and making sure that the plan that's about to be presented to you here today, this vision for the future of Gaza, this vision for the future of the region, is not just possible and promising. It is our destiny if we put the time and the effort that it requires, as I know this board will do. But I also think it will serve as an example of what's possible in other parts of the world. Without losing focus on what's before us now, this is what's possible for other places and other conflicts that seem impossible to solve right now. So I want to, on behalf of the United States, on behalf of the team that worked so hard on this, thank every single one of the leaders that are here today and all the countries that have committed to joining, and many others who are going to join. Others either are not in town today or they have to go through some procedure internally in their own country because of constitutional limitations. But others will join. Many want to be a part of this effort because it is going to be a successful effort. And you see it reflected here today among countries of different backgrounds from different parts of the world, majority Christian some, majority Muslim others, who've come together. In fact, former adversaries who have joined here as part of this Board of Peace. And all was possible, and I want to acknowledge this again, because of the vision and the drive of the President of the United States. So thank you all for joining us here today. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Secretary Rubio. Please, if you could now turn your attention to the screens for a video message from the head.
Let me go rope in Joyita Basu on this. Ma'am, how are you looking at this entire situation? Because India is viewing this entire thing very cautiously. It's like a catch-22 situation that we have been discussing. On one hand, this can in fact, even though the US President has promised that this won't interfere or go overboard the UN capabilities and its role, but this does act like a parallel organization to the UN as well. We have Pakistan who has already signed, ma'am. So we cannot be on the back foot and not sign it in the days to come. How are you looking at this?
Well, the thing is that if we start judging all of our actions according to what Pakistan does or does not, I think then we fail our whole purpose to become the third largest economy in the world and hopefully a developed economy by 2047. Pakistan is not our benchmark. Pakistan is a country that is best ignored. But having said that, if India signs this particular and joins this organization, that will be for only one reason, just not to vitiate the India-US relationship even further. Nothing, no other reason. Now, this organization is all about Trump's ego. This organization is all about, buttering him up. We heard the speech that that short introduction that Marco Rubio gave. It is all about buttering up Trump's ego. And that is the problem with Mr. Trump. That is how he functions. I mean, unless and until you have massaged his ego, nothing will happen. And Macron found out, to his dismay, I would say, that if you say one word against Trump and say that I'm not going to join, Trump will weaponize tariff. 200% tariffs on wine and champagne. He mentioned that. Well, it's a different matter that ultimately it will be the American consumer who will not be able to buy French wine and champagne. But he doesn't care for that. He doesn't care. He will possibly launch his own vineyard somewhere and pass off some cheap wine and saying this is the best thing that has happened to in terms of business. That is what Mr. Trump is. Frankly, if you ask me, this is not about peace. There is nothing remotely about peace. He is kind of launching his next campaign to get the Nobel Peace Prize in 2026, end October, November. That is all that he's focused on. You have to remember it in terms of, and Trump is desperately trying to find some kind of legacy for himself. How will people remember him? So the thing is that people will have only the way he is going, people will not have a very kind word for him. India should ideally stay away from this utter joke. If you ask me, it's an utter joke. But and so many countries are staying away. I mean, who all do you have on the stage? Azerbaijan, Pakistan. Are these serious countries? I mean, do they even matter on the world stage? What is Pakistan's GDP? It is not even the size of Maharashtra. Okay, what is Azerbaijan? It is basically the former Soviet state, which is right now there, and with some help coming from Turkey, they are fighting Armenia and all that. What is a very anti-India state, by the way? So yes, even if India joins, it will be primarily for the show of it. Yes, we are part of it. Nothing more than that. Beyond that, nothing more. Don't expect this board of peace to achieve anything. Mr. Trump is coming up with one organization or the other. He's making a big show of getting these countries together, all second-rate countries or third-rate countries, I would say, second grade and third grade. So these countries, they come together, they literally prostrate before him and say you are the master of the universe. That is what these organizations are about.
Right. In fact, ma'am, how are you looking at that $1 billion clause that also has been put in by Trump? In fact, you pay and you get a permanent membership. Now, nobody is guaranteeing, because there is no transparency as to where the funds will go. They are saying that it might go into, humanitarian rebuilding efforts. But where will these funds go? And ma'am, they are saying that they want it done within the first year itself.
I mean, that is the biggest question. Everywhere, every scheme, I would put it as another, I would say, I don't yet want to call it a scam, so let's put it this as a scheme. This is a scheme that he has launched, that Board of Peace. And the thing is, as you rightly said, where is the money going? There is some talk about, only Mr. Trump will have the authority to decide where the money will be going. Excuse me? Who is he? Is he the king and emperor of the world? Just because he has decided that he is the acting president of Venezuela, just because he has decided that I'm going to take over Greenland and all this. What right does he have to behave like a petty dictator? And that money question, because you see the problem that is happening with the current administration of the US and of all of Mr. Trump's schemes and scams is that the money question. Where is the money going? Say, for example, apparently $300 million or something they have got from Venezuela. He did not, I mean, a large part of the money, according to news reports in Politico, money has been stationed in a bank in Qatar. The money that the US got, that money has gone to Qatar, and apparently Mr. Trump has full access to that money. Excuse me? I mean, to me, that definitely, not just to me, to all commentators around the world, they talk. There's no accountability. So why? I mean, there are 193 countries in the world. So let's take it this way. Your 193 countries are giving him $1 billion apiece. So hypothetically speaking, $193 billion, that's a huge amount of money. Who is going to audit the money? How will it be decided? How it is disbursed and all? And how is he even expecting countries like Pakistan to, cough up $1 billion, a country that begs for an IMF loan to the tune of $1 billion, and once it gets that, it thinks it's a huge victory. Okay, so these are the types of countries that he is surrounded himself with in this particular board of peace. Right now, zero legitimacy. Well, if India joins, that is why India should think very carefully before deciding to join, because India joining means some legitimacy. We are a serious state. We are not a wannabe country. We are not a banana republic. We are the world's largest democracy. We have some station. We have some position. Look at Europe. They are just rebuffing him. Maybe they will all fall in line gradually. But it all depends on how much leverage does Mr. Trump have on these other countries. If we don't join, he is going to say, I'm going to give you a tariff of 500%, 1000%. Well, when you are doing business at 50% tariff, till date he has not removed that. That is a trade killer. I mean, after that, it's just a number. Whether it's a 60% or a 500% or a 1000%, it's just a number. So frankly, if you ask me, and the way he is coming after India, India needs to give it a very, very hard thought about it and decide only after all the big powers they have decided, then India should join, because India joining means giving this body legitimacy.
All right. Thank you so much, Joyita Basu, for joining us on the broadcast with that valuable perspective. With that, we are wrapping up this bulletin and slipping into a short commercial.
इसको तो फुटबॉल खेलना भी आ गया और इसे तो पियानो बजाने भी आ गया।
चंद्रयान भी उतर गया चांद पर हमें
अब तक टेस्टी राजमा बनाना नहीं आया।
बिना एमडीएच राजमा मसाला के टेस्टी राजमा कैसे बनेगा?
स्वादिष्ट राजमा के लिए एमडीएच राजमा मसाला।
क्या स्वादिष्ट राजमा बनाए?
एमडीएच।
अगर आप बनना चाहते हैं एंकर या फिर आप में है जुनून एक तेज तर्रार न्यूज रिपोर्टर बनने का, तो आप ज्वाइन करें ITV और इंडिया NewsX का मीडिया स्कूल। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल का कोर्स आपको मौका देता है देश के दिग्गज एंकर्स के साथ काम करने का। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल में आप बेहद नजदीकी से देख पाएंगे किस तरह से ITV नेटवर्क के दिग्गज पत्रकारों की टीम दिन रात खबरों पर काम करती है। इस कोर्स के दौरान आप सीखेंगे एंकरिंग की एक एक बारीकी उन एंकर्स के साथ जो देश को रखते हैं हर खबर से बाखबर। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल का ये कोर्स आपके एंकरिंग स्किल्स को करेगा इतना सशक्त मजबूत, जिससे आप बनेंगे पत्रकारिता की दुनिया का वो चमकता चेहरा जो दुनिया देखेगी और पसंद करेगी।
This week on We Women Want, we are going to be discussing at what age should kids be allowed smartphones, the enticements of the digital world, and what are the lines that one can draw. So Shivani, if you can your first reaction on this.
As the director of the study school working with 1.5 to 5-year-olds, I'd say keep these phones away from the babies. There is a requirement for the phones and digital life, but at the right time.
As a mother of 2 kids, Sitiva?
Priya, the scariest words a parent can hear is Mama, but everybody has one.
Pallavi, you're a millennial and you have a young kid. So how do you monitor the phone time?
I think there's no escape to the digital world, but it's only when we choose to give it to the kids constructively and consciously.
Watch We Women Want at these times on NewsX.
अगर आप बनना चाहते हैं एंकर या फिर आप में है जुनून एक तेज तर्रार न्यूज रिपोर्टर बनने का, तो आप ज्वाइन करें ITV और इंडिया NewsX का मीडिया स्कूल। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल का कोर्स आपको मौका देता है देश के दिग्गज एंकर्स के साथ काम करने का। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल में आप बेहद नजदीकी से देख पाएंगे किस तरह से ITV नेटवर्क के दिग्गज पत्रकारों की टीम दिन रात खबरों पर काम करती है। इस कोर्स के दौरान आप सीखेंगे एंकरिंग की एक एक बारीकी उन एंकर्स के साथ जो देश को रखते हैं हर खबर से बाखबर। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल का ये कोर्स आपके एंकरिंग स्किल्स को करेगा इतना सशक्त मजबूत जिससे आप बनेंगे पत्रकारिता की दुनिया का वो चमकता चेहरा जो दुनिया देखेगी और पसंद करेगी।
This week on We Women Want, we are going to be discussing at what age should kids be allowed smartphones, the enticements of the digital world, and what are the lines that one can draw. So Shivani, if you can your first reaction on this.
As the director of the study school working with 1.5 to 5-year-olds, I'd say keep these phones away from the babies. There is a requirement for the phones and digital life, but at the right time.
As a mother of 2 kids, Sitiva?
Priya, the scariest words a parent can hear is Mama, but everybody has one.
Welcome back. You're watching NewsX and we're looking at some news that's coming in from Davos. Pakistan has officially joined US President Donald Trump's Board of Peace, or BOP, a flashy new body that is chaired by Trump himself, aimed at overseeing Gaza's ceasefire and the massive $70 billion reconstruction effort. Now, the Foreign Office confirmed the move, saying that Pakistan accepts the invitation with the view to achieving lasting peace in Gaza and to play a constructive role under UN frameworks. It joins a club of mostly Muslim majority nations like Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Turkey, Qatar, UAE, Jordan, Indonesia and others that have signed on. But here is where the story turns bitterly ironic. The board's draft charter offers a 3-year term for free or a permanent membership for a $1 billion cash contribution in the first year. Voluntarily, of course, but the kind of voluntary that screams prestige purchase. Pakistan, which is already on life support from IMF bailouts, repeated Chinese debt rollovers and fresh pleas to the UAE for another $2.5 billion just to stay afloat, now faces the optics of potentially splashing out $1 billion for a permanent seat at Trump's table. Now, critics aren't mincing words. A nation that can't reliably feed its own people, battles runaway inflation and survives on endless foreign loans is suddenly finding room in the budget for high-stakes bootlicking? As one biting online comment put it, borrow to survive, pay to pretend. So this is something that is coming to the fore right now. We saw the Prime Minister of Pakistan, over there we have Pakistan in fact signing that Board of Peace Charter. They were present over there in Davos in Switzerland and signed, one of the first to sign and accept that invitation. Joining us on the broadcast is Professor Madhav Nalapat. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on the broadcast. So when we are looking at Pakistan, the country does not have money to feed its people. It's living off IMF loans. It's had a begging bowl in front of the UAE for money, for bailouts. It's in Chinese debt. And now we see that they might just shell out $1 billion so that they get a permanent seat at Trump's table, sir.
The matter is that if you don't shell out that $1 billion, you get a 3-year term. And 3 more years is the Trump term. He'll be gone in 3 years' time. So it makes no sense. But Pakistan has got this long-term commitment to pleasing Donald Trump, and so far they've done a very good job of that successfully. They have fed him all kinds of nonsense, which he has taken seriously. So the reality of the situation is that yes, they can't afford it. They can't afford 3 things. But the fact of the matter is they want to please Donald Trump. And they want to please Donald Trump. Starving their own people is fine.
Right. In fact, sir, do you believe, isn't this very ironic? Because if Pakistan actually buys that permanent seat, we are looking at India, which is very cautious in its approach towards this organization that Trump is calling a new international body, sir.
Look, the fact is this Board of Peace will last a maximum of 3 more years. That's when Trump's term ends. It won't last longer than that. And now India, if we don't pay $1 billion, we have 3 years. At the end of 3 years, Trump will be gone, and so will the Board of Peace. Having a permanent seat in a non-existent board makes no sense. As I told you, as far as Pakistan is concerned, it is shelling out money at the expense of its people, at the expense of its poor people especially, and it doesn't mind doing so to keep Donald Trump happy. But I'm glad India is not following their example. We'll have 3 years, that's fine. President Trump maximum will be there for 3 years, and after that he is gone, and the Board of Peace goes with him. And he says, we had peace in Gaza, we have had peace here, peace there. He's living in a fantasy land. There's no peace in Gaza. Hamas is not going to surrender its weapons. There's no peace in Russia and Ukraine. That's not going to happen. So he is living in a fantasy land, and the maximum he'll last is 3 more years of his term. So I think they would be well advised not to follow the example of Pakistan and shell out $1 billion. Thank you.
Right. All right. In fact, thank you so much, Professor Madhav Nalapat, also joining us on the broadcast.
Be members of the Board of Peace, because it really will be important. This is not going to be a waste of time. We waste so much time on things that never happen. This will happen, and it's already happening. Thank you very much, everybody. It's a great honor to be with you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we're turning our attention now towards Bangladesh, where according to reports, the Bangladesh Cricket Board has announced that the Bangladesh's men's cricket team will not be attending the T20 World Cup 2026 in India. This comes after the ICC rejected BCB's request to shift the venues for Bangladesh's matches in India over so-called safety concerns after a Bangladeshi cricketer, Mustafizur Rahman, was removed from the KKR team in the IPL 2026. Bangladesh Cricket Board President Aminul Islam Bulbul has said, and I quote here, "We will continue to communicate with the ICC. We want to play the World Cup, but we won't play in India. We will keep fighting." There were some shocking calls in the ICC board meeting. The Mustafizur issue is not an isolated singular case. They, in India, were the sole decision makers in that issue. Joining us on the broadcast is my colleague Siddharth Rege with more on this. Siddharth, obviously a shocking move over there by Bangladesh that they won't be playing in the Cricket World Cup.
Absolutely, Shivani. We are now hearing that this decision has just come and been announced by the BCB chairman, and Scotland is now all set to replace Bangladesh in the T20 World Cup. The statement that you just read out obviously is the BCB statement, and I'm going to again read out for the benefit of our viewers. There has been no official communication as far as the ICC is concerned, but the BCB says we will continue to communicate with the ICC. We want to play the World Cup, but we won't play in India. We will keep fighting. There were some shocking calls in the ICC board meeting. The Mustafizur issue is not an isolated single issue. They as in India were the sole decision makers in that issue. So what we are also learning, Shivani, that it has been a 14 against 2 vote in the ICC board against Bangladesh, which then led to the ICC telling Bangladesh that you'll have to play in India because all the concerns that you're raising, they obviously don't exist on the ground. And this decision from the BCB has come right after that ICC board meeting. What we are learning also is that the only nation that has come out in support of Bangladesh is obviously Pakistan in this case. So does that mean that now that Bangladesh is withdrawing itself from the World Cup, which is going to be starting the next month in February, whether Pakistan also supports that decision and they themselves boycott the World Cup in that case as well? Because that will be a message of solidarity that the PCB will be sending with BCB. But knowing Pakistan, that is obviously not going to happen. They're not going to be showing any solidarity when it comes to skipping the World Cup because, everything that they say is just for, token's sake.
Absolutely, Siddharth. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast with that. In fact, we are now shifting our focus towards J&K. When the latest updates coming in from the Doda Caspir incident, we are now learning that 10 Jawans have been killed. Remember, an army vehicle met with an accident in the Khani Chowk area of Bhadarwa, triggering immediate rescue and relief operations. The mishap resulted in injuries to army personnel travelling in the vehicle. Soon after the accident, army and local administration teams rushed to the spot and launched rescue efforts despite the difficult terrain and adverse weather conditions. The injured personnel were moved and provided first aid at the site and were later airlifted to Udhampur for specialized medical treatment. Joining us on the broadcast is my colleague Ajay Jandyal with more on this. Ajay, we are getting the latest reports. The death toll has been updated. Unfortunately, we've lost 10 Jawans now. Could you take us through the details?
Yes, this tragic incident took life of 10 army Jawans. Those were basically traveling in that vehicle and they were on the operational duty. According to information, Jawans were going for an operational duty and they were in a Caspar army vehicle, which is a bulletproof vehicle, and this vehicle basically protects the Jawans from any kind of a blast, firing or something. But unfortunate incident unfolded when this vehicle, it was moving towards on the Chamba Bhadarwa road. That skipped off the road and fell into a deep gorge, and vehicle rolled down. When rolled down, the Jawans inside the vehicle, they basically met with the serious injuries. They were immediately, locals as well as the army jawans and police, they rushed to the spot and rescue operation was started because it was a tough area. It was about 200-meter deep gorge, 200 feet deep gorge. So immediately rescue operation was started. But till the time jawans were rescued and shifted to the safer location, 10 of brave soldiers, they have lost their life, and 7 other are injured. 3 have been evacuated and shifted to Udhampur in a helicopter, and treatment is going on. Police as well as the army will definitely initiate a inquiry in this matter, that what exactly was the reason, that how this incident has happened, whether it was some technical snag or some other thing that has to be seen.
Absolutely. In fact, Ajay, please do stay on with us. In the latest updates coming in, the Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor has given a statement on the accident which led to the death of 10 army soldiers. He expressed grief over the incident, and he further added, and I quote here, "We will always remember the outstanding service and supreme sacrifice of our brave soldiers. My deepest condolences to the grieving families. In this moment of profound sorrow, the entire nation stands united with the bereaved families in solidarity and support." So Ajay, now we have the Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir also in fact expressing his deepest condolences to those who have lost their lives and expressed his support to the families of those people.
Yes, LG Manoj Sinha, he condoled the demise of army soldiers, those who have lost their life in this incident in Badwa district, Doda. And not only LG, but Defense Minister Rajnath Singh, senior officers of the Jammu Kashmir administration and the army, they also definitely condole this demise, and they say that in this tough time when soldiers they have lost their life, we and the nation stand with the families of our brave soldiers, and those who are injured, they are praying for the recovery of the Jawans as well.
Right, Ajay, please do stay on with us. Union Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh had a telephonic conversation with Harvinder Singh, the DC of Doda, after the accident which led to the death of 10 army soldiers. He also stated, and I quote, "Deeply shocked to learn about the tragic accident of an army vehicle on the Bandarwa Chamba road in which 10 Jawans lost their life and another 10 are seriously injured. They have been shifted to the command hospital in Udhampur. I have also spoken to Major General Dr. Sanjay Sharma, who is in charge Command Hospital and who is also providing me regular updates. All possible medical help and aid is being provided. No words are enough to convey the deep sense of reverence for our brave Jawans. My deepest condolences to the bereaved families as well." So Ajay, like you have been mentioning, other leaders also stating their shock at this tragic incident that has occurred and offering their support to the family. So we have Jitendra Singh as well, who has in fact maintained contact with the army officials who are there at the command hospital in Udhampur and also with the command over there.
This tragic incident definitely is a painful incident for not only family members but also for the nation, because these brave soldiers, they always stand tough to protect the life of the civilians and the nation border. And when it comes to their life, definitely they are in pain. And Dr. Jitendra Singh, he says, while sharing this on the X, he says that I spoke to the Deputy Commissioner and about the incident and took the details, and I am also praying for the the soldiers, those who are injured, for the speedy recovery. Definitely, and he said that I'm in a shock after I have heard about this incident. Dr. Jitendra Singh basically is a minister in the PMO, and he is a member parliament from the same parliamentary constituency. So he definitely must be feeling the pain as well, because they are the soldiers, those who are continuously deployed in the Doda district and roaming from one location to another to trace out the terrorists and so that they can be neutralized.
All right. Thank you so much, Ajay, for all those updates on that front. We are shifting focus now. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has given a statement after his interaction with the ambassadors from the European Union nations. He said that he had conversations about the current state of the world with volatility and instability as the new normal. He also added that he made a case for stronger ties between India and EU. He further added that he is looking forward to the visit of Antonio Costa and the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen to India for Republic Day celebrations. Joining us on the broadcast is my colleague Arzu Seth with more on this. Arzu, the External Affairs Minister has actually given a statement after his interaction with the ambassadors from various nations of the European Union. He is looking forward to, in fact, the visit of Antonio Costa and the European Commission President as well during our Republic Day celebrations.
Well, yes, as the Secretary has shared the information through X, and he informed about the interaction that has happened with ambassadors from EU countries today, and he's talked about, spoke to them about the current state of the world with volatility and stability as the new normal. Also made a case for stronger relations that will de-risk the world economy by cooperating on resilient supply chain. Also reassured the international community by providing public goods like SADR, anti-piracy operations, and also development projects, etc. And in fact, stabilize the global order through stronger trade, mobility, and security partnerships. So he also, in fact, informed about the visit, and also he looked forward to the visit of Antonio Costa and the European Commission President to India for Republic Day celebration. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Arzu. We are looking at now some news that's coming in. The Election Commission of India has allotted the whistle symbol to actor politician Vijay's TVK for the upcoming assembly elections in Tamil Nadu. On this, Kumar, the Joint Secretary of TVK, has given a statement saying that the whistle symbol was the top priority symbol as preferred by Vijay from a choice of 10 symbols that had been proposed. So this is something that we are looking at. This is the Tamil Nadu Assembly elections. It is going to the elections very soon, and over here we are going to see actor Vijay, who has launched his party, the TVK, has now gotten a symbol. It has been allotted a symbol by the Election Commission of India, and that symbol is a whistle symbol. So the Joint Secretary of TVK has also stated that this was a symbol that was in fact preferred by the actor Vijay, who is also the chief of the party, and hence this is good news for the party. Joining us on the broadcast is my colleague Raj Kiran with more on this. Raj, the TVK has now been allotted the whistle symbol over there.
Yes, the Election Commission of India has allocated a whistle symbol to actor cum politician Vijay party, TVK party, for the upcoming assembly election in Tamil Nadu, which is going to be held in this year. So this TVK approached the Election Commission of India on November 14th last year, seeking the allocation on the election symbol to his party under the provision of the election symbol Reservation and Allotment Order 1968, and it submitted its list of 7 symbols that were different symbols were submitted to the Election Commission of India, in which symbols and that were already available in the list of free symbols, and 3 self-created symbols also considered by the Election Commission of India. Finally, now the ECI has given a whistle symbol to the TVK party now.
All right, Raj, but this is very important because this is a fairly new party that has been established by Vijay. It will be his debut as well in the political field. So obviously it's important how this symbol also plays a role going forward in this.
Yes, exactly. This symbol will will play a major role in the election as in 2026. This year, Tamil Nadu is going for the assembly election. So now, TVK party got the visual symbol as if TVK party is looking for a well-known symbol. Visual, it is a easily identified symbol, so they are satisfied with these symbols. We have to see what response will be getting from the TVK party, and also TVK party also given the different symbols, and 3 different symbols which are created by the TVK party. However, the Election Commission of India has now clarified that.
All right, thank you so much, Raj, for those updates. Let's shift our attention now towards Manipur, where in a fresh incident in Manipur's continuing ethnic strife, a 38-year-old man from the Meitei community was abducted by unidentified armed men in the Churachandpur district and later shot dead. A disturbing video reportedly showing the victim pleading for his life moments before the killing has also gone viral, prompting the police to launch an investigation. The incident occurred in the Churachandpur, which is one of the epicenters of the prolonged ethnic violence in the state, and came to light on late Tuesday night. Joining us on the broadcast is my colleague Nibir Deka with more on this. Nibir, yes, Nibir, could you give us some updates on this front, please?
Well, absolutely, a horrific incident has occurred today in the likes of a death of one person from the Meitei community who was in Churachandpur area after crossing the buffer zone. And what we are getting to know is that the person has been identified as Mayang Lambang, who is a resident of the Imphal Valley, and he had gone to Tuibung in Churachandpur, where he was allegedly kidnapped. Both the husband and the wife were kidnapped while they were traveling towards Narjang, and where he was suspected to be eliminated by these kidnappers. And it is further learned that prior consent was taken by the authorities, as he had a cookie wife to go to that area, but unfortunately he has been attacked by these miscreants who are yet to be identified, and further he has been killed in that place.
Right, Nibir, a very unfortunate incident coming in from there. Now, Adani Energy Solutions Limited, part of the globally diversified Adani portfolio and the largest private transmission, distribution and smart metering company in India, today announced its financial and operational performance for the quarter and 9-month ended December 31st, 2025. At EBITDA level, the company saw double-digit growth in 9M FY26 and Q3 FY26, resulting from robust growth in transmission and smart meter and stable growth in distribution, EPC and other segments. The company also reported strong operational parameters during the quarter, with an average system availability of over 99.7%. Robust line availability resulted in an incentive income of Rs 33 crores in Q3 FY26, reflecting the superior O&M practices. In fact, listen in to Kandarp Patel, CEO of the AESL.
Performance per quarter ending December 31st, 2025. The quarterly financial highlights include total income grew by 16% to about 7,000 crore, driven by contribution from transmission assets and rising share of smart metering business executed until now. The EBITDA too was at all-time high at rupees 2,210 crores, an increase of 21% year-on-year, mainly driven by robust growth in transmission and smart metering segment and steady performance in distribution segment. PAT stood at 574 crores. This was down during the quarter on account of a positive impact of deferred tax of rupees 185 crore last year in quarter 3 FY25. If we adjust this, our adjusted PAT for quarter was up by 30% year-on-year to rupees 574 crore. Cash profit for the quarter also crossed rupees 1200 crore mark, up by 23% year on year. On operational front too, the company has had a successful quarter. The price Khavda South Olpad HVDC project got added to our kitty, taking our aggregate transmission under construction pipeline to close to 80,000 crore. The coveted North Karanpura transmission project in the Eastern Grid got commissioned. AESL's transmission network now stands at 28,000 circuit kilometer and 120,000 MV of transformation capacity. We remain India's largest private sector power transmission company.
Joining us on the broadcast is my colleague Arzu Seth with more on this. Arzu, we have Adani Energy Solutions Limited announcing their financial and operational performance. Take us through the details, please. Arzu, if you can hear us, we were talking about the. All right, in fact, I think my colleague Shikha Salaria is joining us on the broadcast for this. Shikha, we were talking about Adani Energy Solutions Limited, which has announced its financial and operational performance for quarter that ended December 31st.
Yeah, clearly. So, the Adani Energy Private Limited has said that the total income that it has registered during the year-on-year basis, it includes a robust growth of 15.7% and to an all-time high of rupees 6,945 crore. So this is backed by better operating performance and the service concession arrangement income due to higher capex. It is also said that during the quarter, it has also reached the record high of rupees 2,210 crore, which is up by 20.7% year-on-year basis, and that's also driven by robust growth in transmission and smart metering segment and steady performance in distribution segment. So what we're getting to know is that the company has also said that the profit before tax rose by 43.2% year-on-year to rupees 801 crore, and the PAT stood at rupees 574 crore, which was down by 8.2% year-on-year basis, and this was basically because of a positive impact of deferred tax of rupees 185 crore last year in quarter 3 of financial year 2025, which has to be adjusted for a like-for-like comparison.
Right.
So the crux of the story is that the total income of the company has risen by 16.2% year-on-year basis to rupees 20,737 crore, and that's an all-time high. So the company is basically getting up for more, and it has been registering a robust growth on account of several operating performance indexes, which also includes the service concession arrangement income due to a higher expenditure or in the capital.
All
so
right.
Clearly the company looks...
Right, Shikha. Thank you so much for all those updates on that front. With that, we are wrapping up this bulletin and slipping into a short commercial.
MDH का किचन किंग किचन में हो तो हम सब कुछ बना सकते हैं। बैंगन का भरता, आलू गोभी, भिंडी मसाला और भी बहुत कुछ। MDH आपके घर के खाने में रेस्टोरेंट जैसा स्वाद ले आए MDH का शाही पनीर मसाला। पनीर को क्या मस्त बना डाला।
This week on We Women Want, we're going to be discussing at what age should kids be allowed smartphones, the enticements of the digital world, and what are the lines that one can draw. So Shivani, if you can your first reaction on this.
As the director of the study school working with 1.5 to 5-year-olds, I'd say keep these phones away from the babies. There is a requirement for the phones and digital life, but at the right time.
As a mother of 2 kids, Sitiva?
Priya, the scariest words a parent can hear is
a very good evening. You're watching NewsX and I'm Shivani Singh. In a shocking case of sexual harassment, a South Korean woman accused an airport staffer of misconduct at Bengaluru's Kempegowda International Airport. Allegations have surfaced stating that the staffer, a contract worker with Air India SATS, touched the woman inappropriately under the garb of manual frisking. Making false claims of issues with her check-in baggage, the accused, 25-year-old Muhammad Afan Ahmad, asked her to accompany him for manual checking, taking her near the men's washroom. Afan then proceeded to touch her chest and private parts. When she objected, he reportedly hugged her and said thank you and asked her to leave. The woman immediately alerted authorities and Afan was detained by airport security, who has stated that he had no authority to carry out the checking and a female passenger may only be frisked by a female staff member. Now, police have stated that CCTV footage has corroborated the woman's account and Afam, who is in judicial custody, has been booked under Section 75 of the BNS. But the incident has raised concerns of safety at airports. The woman, meanwhile, stated that the bitter experience she underwent should not be seen as a reflection of safety levels in India. However, she raised concerns about the power imbalance at airports. The woman said that she agreed to another round of checks since she was concerned as to whether she was unknowingly causing a serious issue at the airport. To discuss this topic further, I am joined by Dr. Swati Jindal Garg, AOR Supreme Court, Tahara Hassan, social activist, and Sanjay Sahai, former IPS officer. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast to discuss this unfortunate incident. If I can go across to Dr. Swati Jindal Garg first. Ma'am, a really unfortunate incident that has come to the fore over here. How do we prevent such things from happening? Because this woman who was the victim actually, she has stated that this does not represent the entire culture of in India, of safety in India, but this actually portrays the power imbalance that exists at the airport.
No, definitely, it's extremely saddening and humiliating to see the kind of projection we as Indians make. Also, considering that the lady has been kind enough to suggest that she's not alleging that the entire country is like that, it is deeply saddening that on her way back when she was about to take a flight back to South Korea, as from what I have read, that this incident has happened to her. Now, see, regarding how we can stop these incidents from happening, see, it's not like we don't have the legislation. We have multiple legislations, including concerned sections of the BNS. Apart from that, we also have the Sexual Harassment, Prevention of Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act, which also includes women who are visitors. So there must be a internal complaint committee at the airport, which would be covering the visitors and the passengers who are molested or harassed by the employees of the airport. Nonetheless, despite the existence of these penalties and these offenses that are earmarked under relevant statutes, the fact that this has happened, and that too, without any fear of any repercussion by an employee of the airport, it just shows the state of affairs that the country is in. The only way of stopping this is to ensure, see, even if you look at Section 75 under which the offense has been booked, it talks about punishment for up to 1 year and fine. I feel that considering the impact of such acts, even a punishment of 1 year, up to 1 year, is too less. Nonetheless, care must be taken that this punishment is definitely imposed in the strictest of sense, and the matter is not allowed to linger forever, so that people who indulge in such behavior are warned, and they must, until and unless that time comes that such people, at the mere thought of inflicting such harassment against women, they should get goosebumps when they start thinking about the repercussions. Till the time this happens, such incidents will continue to occur. So
Right.
what
In
we
fact,
need today is a strictest of implementation of all these. Forget about 1 year. You put that person behind bars for a month and give him the strictest of punishment so that he will think 10 times before doing this in the future. Instead of just shrugging and saying that, "Arey, kuch nahi hota, dekhi jayegi." You know, that dekhi jayegi attitude we have to take out of all the people who are offenders.
right. In fact, let me also rope in Mr. Sanjay Sahai on this. Mr. Sahai, how are you looking at this case of harassment that is coming to the fore? Because the victim over here, she has stated that, you know, there was a power imbalance. She was afraid that she was in fact flouting some rules, and that's why she agreed to the secondary checking. So how do we make sure that you know, people in uniform are not misusing you know, their authority over there at the airport?
This fellow was not a person in uniform to start with. He was a staffer, ground staffer of AI SATs. So having said that, this is the most reprehensible, shameful and embarrassing sort of an incident which has put the country in, and there is absolutely no explanation to these things. As for the statute and the way the statute is implemented, they are totally different things. The way statute is to be implemented, there are lots of different levels by which we reach a place where there is the actual implementation. As far as this particular case is concerned, I think there is complete absence of background verification of the nature which is required. Contractual employees, they come in and they go out, and the nature of background verification, even if it is there, it is at a very minimal sort of a level. The second point is that at no place the passenger should come in contact with ground staffers and people of that nature. It has to be completely limited to immigration, security and related staff only. There was a scope wherein this fellow, he has studied the whole thing and he has barged in and he has created this sort of a situation. So there's the second point. Third, I don't think there is any serious training which is going with contractual employees and all this variety of private agencies who operate at the airport for their understanding of law and what the repercussions would be. Now, this person has already been fired besides being booked under Section 75 of the BNS. So he has been fired and the concerned company says that it is an unpardonable act. So that's perfectly fine. But as we move further, is there any system wherein it is completely ingrained into that person that any misdemeanor or crime of this type will lead to actually you getting fired, criminal case, and then you also being put to shame? So background investigation of contractual employees, also the power imbalance which you are talking about. I think wherever the power imbalance is there, there should be enhanced punishment. And the trial should happen from the investigation, charge sheet till the trial. I think everything should get completed in a span of 30 days. It is a close and shut case given the nature of CCTV inputs which are available and the way the victim has narrated the whole story. So there is nothing great amount of investigation left in this case. It should be done immediately, charge sheeted, and under Section 75, I think the subclause 1, 2 and 3. So they attract some 3 years of punishment or fine or both. So maximum amount of punishment if it is given in a predictable manner in a span of 1 year time. So that is going to make a difference. This power imbalance, no, that needs to be sorted out. Whether it is office, whether it is the airport scenario, whether it is a police station, whatever the case may be. I think under those circumstances, the whole judicial trial, starting from investigation, should get completed, and there has to be a very enhanced level of punishment, and that should primarily be rigorous imprisonment and nothing else.
Right. In fact, Tahira Hassan, how are you viewing this situation that has unfolded at the Bengaluru airport?
This incident is extremely disturbing, you know. It raises very serious question for for me as a women rights activist, that our women are even not safe at the airport, international airport also. And the employee is misbehaving, they are violating. Instead of protecting the law, they are violating the laws. They are using the women as a commodity. And you know that he hugged her and said, "Thank you." What is this? So I think the accountability must be fixed every time. I say, when the accountability is not fixed, even the company who supply these contractual employees, the accountability must be fixed on them also. Why they don't check the background and all? And CISF also tightened their security, especially on security zones like immigration and baggage. There should be monitoring and screening should be very strict level, and the punishment also be very stringent. Punishment must be given, and I agree that the redressal of such cases must be within a limited time. It is not, it is dragged year after year, then it is diluted, and witness also hostile, and the whole thing is, you know, go in vain. So I think that the strict punishment is very important. We have very strong laws in our hand, and those laws must be implemented properly. And I think that this incident sends a negative global message also. And India claimed to be global power and tourism destination. So these security of women cannot be compromised or can be negotiable. So I think these things are should be taken very seriously. And action must be taken. Every time we say the accountability must be fixed, a stringent punishment must be given. But I think it's a high time the redressal of such cases should be within 2 months, 3 months, not more than that. Through the fast track court, you do it. Wherever the women harassment case comes, case is dragged. Only few cases raised to rare are tried. I mean, get the redressal under the fast track court, and that too, Nirbhaya case, we have seen it had taken the 9 years, I think 8 to 9 years. So it is very disturbing that we talk that we have laws, but they are not implemented properly. So this time I think again it has happened, and again I will say it sends a negative global message.
Right.
So
in fact,
it should be taken very seriously.
Right. Dr. Swati Jindal, the focus of the entire discussion in the end then comes down to that contractual workup. We have spoken, Mr. Sahai has spoken about, you know, background checks that are necessary. But when we look at this entire incident as well, a male staffer was taking this victim, who's a female, towards the men's washroom area, and he was not challenged by any security personnel who were on ground over there. He was not challenged by the CISF people who were present over there. So that raises a great concern, ma'am.
Of course it does now, but we need to also see that whether any sort of objection was made by the woman. So if two people are walking down together, nobody knows where they are going, and people definitely don't know whether that woman is being coerced to enter a men's washroom. From what I have read, he did this act outside or near the men's washroom. Now the fact that he himself was also employed there and he was a ground staffer might have been one of the reasons why nobody thought it fit or saw a reason to stop him from accompanying a woman. Because see, like I said, nobody knows that he has concocted this unknowingly, flouted. As it is, we are stressed about being in a foreign land and not having enough help or the knowledge of law. So that lady also understandably accompanied him. It is only when that act occurred that she thought that something was deeply wrong. In fact, I'm glad that she had the courage to even report it in a foreign land, because most of the women under similar circumstances would have just sort of let it go, thinking that, oh, this is a terrible country and let me just get out of here and just be away from this whole scenario. I don't want to report it. What if they hold me back for some further investigation? So the check could have been there, probably had some alarm been raised. But if the alarm was not raised and if she was simply accompanying him, then I'm not surprised that nobody saw it fit to stop them.
Okay. So, Mr. Sahai, do you believe how can we solve or resolve such kind of situations? Because like Dr. Garg has in fact pointed out, if somebody asks you, you're in a foreign land, if somebody asks you that you have to undergo a second security procedure, you will comply thinking that you're flouting some norms. How do we make sure that you know we are not in fact harassed by some employee?
No denying the fact that you work under stress or under stress when you are in a foreign land and mostly in a situation of security clearance and baggage check and immigration and things of that nature. There are two things which I'd like to bring to the notice of your audience. So one is that there are areas which needs to be handled only by the security staff and the immigration staff, and nobody else should be allowed in that particular area. Ground staff, there is absolutely no reason why it should be there. So in airports today also, that nature of segregation is not happening. That's point number one. Point number two, if we have CCTVs, and there if we are able to bring artificial intelligence of the nature which the capability is available, the movement of this nature gets recorded and there is an alarm which is raised. Thirdly, and most importantly, there is a need for a psychological test of every single individual who comes either on a regular employment or on a contractual employment. And fourthly, as you get into an aircraft and you are told over and over again to tie the seat belt, even if you are a regular passenger, so you need to know the utility and the safety component of it. I think it should be a media blitzkrieg inside the airports that no woman can be frisked but for a woman employee. So that has to be made crystal clear. It should be so ingrained in women that they would just not like to talk to anybody or react straight away that it is none of your concern and it is not your responsibility. So broadly, we have to start in that manner.
Okay, so you believe that there should be more awareness among travelers as well. When you are undergoing a travel, you need to make sure that a female staffer approaches you, because that is the norm, that are the rules that have been put in place. Tahira Hassan, how are you looking at this situation? Because Mr. Sahai raised a very important point, a contractual ground worker. How is he making his way into the security area where only CISF personnel or people who are involved in the security measures should be allowed?
I said this in my opening statement, that it is a responsibility of CISF, to strengthen monitoring and screening on the security zones like immigration and baggage area. So how this happened, why they were so lenient, they're not taken in account that what is going on, and that should we tell our foreigner people that at our airport this can be done? I mean, I don't think so. It will send another bigger negative global message. I think the CISF should take the responsibility and should see it, and the companies also who just supply these employees contractual basis, they should also take the responsibility. If they don't take it, please fix the accountability on them. It's not only, I mean, why the priority of the women's security is not the top for the institutions and the state and these airports and all, that women are now not safe even at the airport. Our foreign women are not safe at the airport, and this is very disturbing also. Right. And it will affect our tourism also. I mean, think in so many different levels. And what has happened is very disgusting and shameful.
Absolutely, and it does impact in some way the image of India as well. Dr. Swati Garg, your closing comments on this entire incident. You've mentioned stricter laws that can pave the way for a safer environment for women as well.
See, at the end, I would like to say that knowledge beats everything, awareness beats everything. Though, no matter how many laws you make, until and unless people know what their right is, people know what their, where they can seek redressal, people know their rights enough to object to something that is obviously not correct. Until and unless that happens, and until and unless the offender himself is worried about the repercussions to an extent that he has examples to fall back on, where instead of being allowing the matter to linger till infinity, immediate redressal is given to a victim and the offender is put behind bars and the strictest of punishment is given to them. Until and unless that time comes, we can keep making laws, and I don't see any outcome of such laws that are not implemented properly.
Right. Mr. Sanjay Sahai, your closing comments on this entire situation?
My final thought is that the law has to be brought to the ground. It has to be made enforceable in a manner which is strict and rigorous. There has to be segregation of areas in the airport. What I have seen in all Indian airport, that all staff can move all around the place. So that is broadly where the genesis of the whole issue is. The contracted employees need to go through very, very strict background verification and psychological test. And the trial should happen within a maximum of 1 month, given the close and shut case, and the predictability of punishment within a stipulated time, that will send shivers of the potential offenders.
Right. And Tahira Hassan, before I close this discussion, your last thoughts.
Yes, I believe that we have very strong laws in our hand, but they must be implemented properly on ground level. There must be a stringent punishment, and redressal of such cases should be with the fast track court, and it should not linger on. Then only it will present a deterrent. Otherwise, there will be no fear of the laws. Then the people have no fear of the laws. They know they will get away after committing this kind of crimes, and that weakens the accountability also. Always weakens the accountability. Right. No accountability is fixed then. So I think the stringent punishment is needed and redressal of such case by the fast track court. As soon as possible, do it. The redressal should be done.
All right, stringent laws, fast track court, review of all the contractual employees, in fact all the employees, a psychological test of all the employees, and awareness and knowledge from the consumers or the travelers themselves. These are the crux points in order to avoid such incidents in the future. I thank you, Dr. Garg, Tahira Hassan and Mr. Sahai for joining us on the broadcast to discuss this matter. We are now turning our attention now towards some news that's coming in. The Ministry of External Affairs has condemned the incident of trespassing and vandalism at the Indian Embassy in Croatia. In an official statement, the Ministry of External Affairs has stated, and I quote, "Under the Vienna Convention, diplomatic premises are inviolable and must be protected. Accordingly, we have taken up the matter strongly with Croatian authorities, both in New Delhi and in Zagreb, and asked them to hold the perpetrators accountable for their reprehensible and illegal actions. Such actions also speak of the character and motives of those behind them, and law enforcement authorities everywhere would do well to take note of them." Joining us on the broadcast is my colleague Brian Thomas with more on this. Brian, we have this trespassing and vandalism incident at the Indian Embassy in Croatia. Take us through the details, please.
Shivani, clearly as of now there was a statement on the trespassing and vandalism at the Embassy of India in Zagreb, Croatia, where the government of India strongly condemned
the incident involving the unlawful trespassing and vandalism of the premises of the Embassy of India in Zagreb, Croatia by anti-India elements. Diplomatic and consular premises are also viable under the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations, that's even read at the statement. And even the statement also read that it hosts governments that are obligated to ensure their protection and security at all times, and any breach of this obligation is a serious matter and cannot be tolerated. Not only that, the government of India has also taken up the issue firmly, as even read in the statement, with the Croatian authorities both in New Delhi and in Zagreb, and has called for a thorough investigation into the incident.
Right.
And also, yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Brian, for all those updates on that front. Now, in the latest updates that's coming in, the United States President Donald Trump will be meeting Russian President Vladimir Putin. This comes after the signing of the Board of Peace in Davos. Joining us on the broadcast is my colleague Aditya Vadhavan with more on this. Aditya, we will be shortly seeing a meeting between US President Donald Trump and the Russian President Vladimir Putin.
Well, absolutely, Shivani. If you see, President Trump will be meeting Russian President Vladimir Putin, and indeed, he had made this comment that he'll be meeting both Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and President Putin, and he will definitely forward the talks as to now end this Russia-Ukraine war, which has been going for more than 4 years, and so many lives of the Ukrainian people have lost. Every other day we see Russia sending drones and missiles on Ukrainian cities like Kyiv and many other cities. So definitely, Shivani, at this juncture, Trump, is making all end efforts to stop this Russia-Ukraine war. And then when he will meet with the Russian President Vladimir Putin on the sidelines of World Economic Forum in Davos, definitely he will raise this point.
Right.
Back to you, Shivani.
All right. Thank you so much, Aditya, for all those updates on that front. With that, we are wrapping up this bulletin. We'll see you on the other side of this commercial.
कसूरी मेथी लाजवाब है स्वाद और सुगंध इसकी लाजवाब है
अगर MDH कसूरी मेथी नहीं डाला
तो खाली हाथ मलते रह जाओगे।
एक एक पत्ता हाथ से चुना, स्वाद और सुगंध जगाएं कई गुना।
इसको तो फुटबॉल खेलना भी आ गया और इससे तो पियानो बजाने भी आ गया।
चंद्रयान भी उतर गया चांद पर हमें
अब तक टेस्टी राजमा बनाना नहीं आया।
बिना MDH राजमा मसाला के टेस्टी राजमा कैसे बनेगा?
स्वादिष्ट राजमा के लिए MDH राजमा मसाला।
क्या स्वादिष्ट राजमा बनाए?
MDH।
अगर आप बनना चाहते हैं एंकर या फिर आप में है जुनून एक तेज तर्रार न्यूज रिपोर्टर बनने का, तो आप ज्वाइन करें ITV और इंडिया NewsX का मीडिया स्कूल। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल का कोर्स आपको मौका देता है देश के दिग्गज एंकर्स के साथ काम करने का। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल में आप बेहद नजदीकी से देख पाएंगे किस तरह से ITV नेटवर्क के दिग्गज पत्रकारों की टीम दिन रात खबरों पर काम करती है। इस कोर्स के दौरान आप सीखेंगे एंकरिंग की एक एक बारीकी उन एंकर्स के साथ जो देश को रखते हैं हर खबर से बाखबर। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल का ये कोर्स आपके एंकरिंग स्किल्स को करेगा इतना सशक्त मजबूत, जिससे आप बनेंगे पत्रकारिता की दुनिया का वो चमकता चेहरा जो
This week on We Women Want, we are going to be discussing at what age should kids be allowed smartphones, the enticements of the digital world, and what are the lines that one can draw. So Shivani, if you can just, your first reaction on this.
As the director of the study school working with 1.5 to 5-year-olds, I'd say keep these phones away from the babies. There is a requirement for the phones and digital life, but at the right time.
As a mother of 2 kids, Sitiva?
Priya, the scariest words a parent can hear is Mama, but everybody has one.
Pallavi, you're a millennial and you have a young kid. So how do you monitor the phone time?
I think there's no escape to the digital world, but it's only when we choose to give it to the kids constructively and consciously.
What we women want at these times on NewsX.
All right, so that's the big, beautiful pitch by the United States President Donald Trump. He has put out that pitch to NATO, to Europe and to Denmark to hand over Greenland to America, talking about how Greenland is going to prosper when it comes into the control of United States of America, but more importantly, international security and national security will be guaranteed by America if Greenland is taken control of by United States of America. So those are some of the salient points that were mentioned in the speech by Donald Trump that has lasted a little less than 1.5 hours. That's the amount of time that he has taken to speak about a plethora of subjects. He's spoken about how essentially America is the hinge point, is the linchpin for everything that happens across the globe, whether it is economically, strategically, or politically as well. And he speaks about how the stability in America ensures stability in NATO, in Europe, and talking also about the wars that have been ended by US President Donald Trump, 8 of them and more in counting. Also, I'm joined by my panelists. I have with me Major General Shashi Asthana. Shashi Asthana, let's hear it from you with regards to this long spiel, if I may call it, that has been rattled off by US President Donald Trump, all in the hopes of NATO and Europe coming together and letting go of Greenland for America to set up its military stations.
Firstly, I think this speech was overhyped, overstated claims. Started off with claims on economy and then a whole lot of something like an election speech. But then soon he turned towards Europe to say exactly what you're saying, to convince them that he needs Denmark.
Donald Trump is in an interview right now. He's speaking again. Let's directly go to that.
Sometimes you get hit with things, nothing you can do. You get hit with things like that unexpectedly. And we got through it. And when I left, the stock market was higher than it was previous to the COVID coming up. And I called it a great achievement. But things happen, bad things happen. The things that we can stop are wars if we're smart. That we can stop. Those are a matter of being intelligent and having intelligent people on the other side, because wars are the worst of all. Wars are worse than anything. But we can stop wars because that's sort of up to us. But things like dust flying in the air, wherever COVID comes from or whatever comes, sometimes you have to be a little bit lucky. But we are poised to have an economy like no other, not only in this country, but anywhere. And you know, when you hear the kind of numbers that I can tell you that Scott Bessent was with me the other day, and he's looking at numbers. He said, I can't. And that's all he's done his whole life, pretty much your whole life. Scott, you weren't going to be a football player, I don't think. Scott was not that great at football, but he was always good at numbers, right? And he was looking at numbers. He said, I've never seen anything like this. We're poised to do things that no other country's ever done. And, you know, luck, I hate to say it, but we need a little luck. We don't want to get hit by something that nobody could have thought. Whoever thought we were going to hit by a pandemic? You know, when I heard the word pandemic, I said, oh, that's an ancient problem. World War I, they lost 100 million people. It actually ended World War I. A lot of people don't know. The Spanish flu in World War I ended the war because all the soldiers were sick. The soldiers were so sick on both sides. And that war was raging, and they were all dying.
All right. While he carries on that discussion over a myriad subjects, he's trying to talk about COVID and, of course, United States of America and how great the country that is. And he's made it even greater during his presidency in the second term. 1 year has completed. Yesterday, in fact, 365 days completed. of US President Donald Trump being at the helm of affairs of the most powerful country of the world. I'm going to come back to you, Shashi Asthana, and talking about, he's spoken about a whole lot of things. He's talked about the domestic market in America, he's talked about inflation, jobs, turnaround in history. He's again ranted and attacked Biden, speaking about how things were completely catastrophic under his rule. He's spoken about NATO and the kind of support that continues to be provided by America. Trillions and trillions of dollars that have been funded into NATO, and in exchange, NATO can't even hand over Greenland to America. What a travesty that the Americans are facing in wake of this freshest row that has been created over the assertions being made by the American president to take control of this piece of ice that is in the Arctic between Russia and United States of America. How do you view this speech? Do you think NATO particularly and heads of the governments of the NATO organization are satisfied? Have they been lured and influenced by Donald Trump through his speech with the assertions that he has made, justifications he has made for taking over Greenland?
I don't think so. I don't think anybody in NATO is going to get satisfied with the kind of explanations he made as to why he needs Greenland. Because if you analyze, he already has a base there. He can make as many bases within the framework of NATO and within the existing establishment and rules of NATO. So that actually doesn't give him any credentials as far as his arguments are concerned. But all his arguments are that if you see, he has threatened NATO. Because when he said, you have two choices. Either you say yes or you say no. If you say no, then we will think about it. And immediately after that, he says we have a very powerful military, So indirectly, he has also threatened them that you give me either the easy way or the hard way, but I will take it. That's what he conveyed to them.
Yeah,
so
he has said that, but at the same time, he's also equated it to the trillions of dollars that are funded into NATO by America. He's also given the example of taking, defending the Danes. When Germany attacked Denmark, they ensured the freedom of Denmark, sent away the Germans, handed Greenland back, and now he's also questioning the very thought process of the previous presidents of America for handing Greenland back, which he claims to be the most strategic part in North America to ensure the safety and security of North America. He's even gone on and pleaded his case, saying that Canada is going to benefit from it as well, which is part of the Northern Hemisphere. So these are some of the aspects of his speech that I would like to highlight. I'm also being joined by other panelists. I'm being joined by Professor Rohan Gunaratna. Professor Gunaratna, here, do you think it's a one-sided relationship between America and NATO, as Trump has put it?
The United States is a hyperpower. So it is a extraordinary superpower, and you cannot compare NATO or the European Union or Europe with the magnitude, intensity, and the capacities and the capabilities of the US in terms of defense and military. So I believe that there will be no military opposition at all whatsoever to Trump's plan to intervene in Greenland. European nations will have to accede to his request. So sooner or later, President Trump will persuade the European leaders to agree to his terms and conditions. What he wants to do is he wants to build a very significant military capability in Greenland, and he also wants to harness, and if you want, you can use the word exploit, the resources in Greenland, which will, of course, will not materialize in the short term. To Trump, it is a matter of sustaining and developing the Western influence in the Western Hemisphere. So he sees Europe as weak. He sees Europe as a set of countries where migrant communities from Asia, Africa, Middle East, Latin America has dominated.
Yeah.
And he wants to make not only the United States, but he also wants to, in many ways, reinvent Europe in his image of creating a powerful Western civilization in the Western Hemisphere.
Ambassador Basuti Mukherjee, let's hear it from you as well. And as has been said by Professor Gunaratne, he's completely, slammed and ridiculed Europe. He's spoken about the windmills. He's spoken about how the European countries, including United Kingdom and Germany, have reduced to their lowest selves in the last few decades, and he's blamed it on immigration, he's blamed it on environmental laws, he's blamed it on the fact that you've set up windmills. The environmentalists are stopping you from actually creating energy and using it and selling it off, and a number of things. And he's also said that Europe has continuously been reliant on United States of America when it comes to trade, when it comes to defense support, and he's not wrong. And therefore, the leverage that America has when it decides to fight for Greenland cannot be trumped by European countries, cannot be trumped by NATO.
Well, Megha, I have a slightly different perspective on this matter. First of all, Trump's first argument was that hundreds of years ago, some white people came in a boat from Denmark and put a flag in Iceland. So the same thing happened in the United States, and the same thing happened in Latin America. The only difference with Asia and Africa was that they colonized entire countries and their people, brown and black people. Okay, but if he is questioning the right of white colonizers to put a flag and say this is ours, then one can question also, how did United States come into being? In fact, the Canadian Prime Minister, in a very powerful speech in Davos, reminded, and so did Macron, reminded that how did United States come into being? That was because the then colonizer, the French, helped in the orderly establishment of the United States of America. I am not writing off strong resistance from the European powers on the takeover of Greenland. I think at the last minute, President Trump will back down, because whatever he says, if he destroys NATO, he will leave the European Union vulnerable to Russia, and the European Union have themselves to blame for sending so much of arms to Ukraine that today they are short of arms. They have to buy arms to arm themselves, rearm themselves to save them from Russia, they say, because if Trump destroys NATO, there is nobody to come to their aid. On the other hand, having insulted in a terrible way the French president and several other European leaders, and having dealt with Europe West for a long time as Joint Secretary here for 6 years, I can tell you that they are, except for one country, they are completely united on opposing Trump's bid to annex Greenland. What they have suggested to Trump is that, let's sit down and discuss this. You want to strengthen your military base, please go ahead, we've never stopped you. And you have been blaming us for not doing enough to defend Greenland. That is something which we have understood, and we are sending military supplies, soldiers, etc. to Greenland. So what is going to happen is that I don't think that the Congress is going to accept an act of war, which is according to the American Constitution, by Trump against his Western allies, the NATO. They're not going to allow it. So he will ultimately actually achieve what he wants to do, because Trump believes in hyperbole. Let's not forget that he's a very successful businessman. He's raised the pressure to make the Europeans understand how dependent they are on US for their defense, to make them, to what you call, to soften them up, But when he's realized the amount of resistance, he is going to back down, 100%. And I can tell you, Greenland is not going to be taken over like a song, like somebody walking into a empty land and taking it over. It will be resisted. And if there is a single death of an American, he will have strong criticism from his MAGA base. What is he doing? He said that United States, mega, is a country meant for white and Christians. So what is he doing in Greenland? He's killing white and Christians. There are no brown and black people there whom he's killing. It's entirely occupied by whites and Christians. And he's going to war with them? No, 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 no. It's not going to happen. I'm sure of it. Mega.
Well, let's also get in Sharad Kohli into the conversation. Sharad Kohli, again the question, does Europe and NATO particularly have any leverage over here, keeping in mind that there is huge dependency, and even if you are wanting to build resilient supply chains alternatively with other countries, with other regions, it is going to take you a period of about 5 to 10 years to actually see results. I mean, it doesn't seem like NATO really has what it takes to actually defend itself and oppose Trump, keeping in mind, while there have been a handful of leaders, I'll say that France, Germany, the European Union President and Belgium have come out and spoken aggressively, and so has Marconi. But where is Keir Starmer and Olaf Scholz and others?
Good evening, Megha, to you, fellow panelists and NewsX viewers. I think Europe has nobody but itself to blame, because the way they have been yes men to America all this while, you know, pardon me for saying this, a little bit of chamchas of US for all this while, which is what gave the strength to President Trump to not to consult them. He says, I just want it, and that's it, by hard way or whatever way. You know, he's so confident that who are these people? You know, this group of 27 nations, I'm talking of the EU. NATO at this point of time doesn't even exist, if you ask me. NATO is gone. NATO is history, if you the way things are shaping. There may not have been a formal cancellation of NATO, but the treaty, I think, is out of the window anyway. So just a formal announcement of termination of NATO is left, but it really doesn't matter. So let me say EU. So I think EU, he feels that it's a group of 27 nations, small and big. They don't matter in front of America. You know, who are they to stop us, basically? So that's what is giving him the courage to make these bold statements. And how to make foes out of friends if somebody has to open an institute. I think we all know who would be the founder of that, because who's friend of America, Megha, at this point of time? Give me name of one country. There was I Love Pakistan a few months ago when Shah Munir had biryani in White House. You know, I love Pakistan because his World Liberty Finance, the crypto company, is open in Pakistan. But he's denied visas to Pakistan. He's amongst the 75 countries which are not getting visas. So that's my question to the world of diplomacy and to the world of geopolitics. Who's America's friend at this point of time? Because even Keir Starmer you named, but look at what happened in Diego Garcia, the island. What words did he use for them? It was stupidity to hand over to Mauritius.
Yeah.
There was no need. There was no need.
And there has been no retort whatsoever from Keir Starmer. Nothing has been spoken about this comment. Okay, there seems to be a problem with his network connection, but I'll get in my other panelists into the conversation as well. All right, Gigi Dwivedi, let's hear it from you with regards to the situation that is at hand. Again, a problem that is between America and Europe. Other nations are sitting on the sidelines, watching this circus going on. And do you think there is any other way of resolving the situation than to hand over Greenland to America?
Well, Megha, I think if the European nations had studied the national security strategy of President Trump, which was unfolded or unveiled on 4 December last year, I think the situation that actually is panning out would be not unexpected, but on quite expected lines. There are 4 issues which got flagged in that national security strategy. First and foremost was that America is now looking at the Western Hemisphere So therefore, Western Hemisphere is non-negotiable. And what are the pieces of territorial land that America requires to influence or exercise its, control would be non-negotiable. A second point was that he has admonished actually European nations and NATO in particular that your strategy against Russia has totally failed, and it's time that you need to now do a bit of heavy lifting. And frankly speaking, Europeans have been piggybacking on America. And this symbiotic relation was very much one-sided, and that was one of the issues that President Trump brought out. The third point is about the economy, his own claims that how the manufacturers coming back, they are reshoring, and he said 18 trillion of investment is going to come in. That again was very much listed in the national security strategy. And the fourth point, which I think needs to be well understood, that President Trump is the most pro-Russian president that America has had. And I don't know what threat is Greenland facing from Russia, but the point at issue is, I think this 4 years war has exposed President Putin. They could not even capture more than 20% of Ukraine territory. I don't know how they are going to threaten the Europe per se. So only one issue that President Trump has been soft paddling is China. He knows that without Chinese, the American economy would actually slump in, but yet he doesn't want China, to have domination in the Indo-Pacific or the Western Pacific. So the point I'm trying to make is President Trump will have Greenland, but there are going to be a lot of talk, push and take on the negotiation table, because he is not foolish to actually do what Venezuela he did in Greenland. But the point is that there will be some kind of understanding, if not lease, but certain rights would be given. But the point is, I don't think he's going to step back, and Europe has no choice but to toe his line. But how it is done, that would be the interesting part of it, Megha.
Okay. Okay, General Sudhakarji is also on the telecast with me. General Sudhakarji, the policy that has been taken by Donald Trump of coercion and the fact that Europe can't really do anything, as General G. Dwivedi said, that they have been living far too long off America, and of course again when you talk to the Ukraine-Russia issue, he had made a statement in his speech as well just a short while ago. He said that Putin never wanted to take control of Ukraine, and he's spoken about how the 2020 election rigging, where Russian collusion that happened in the 2020 elections, and that kind of rumors that were floated in America, and somehow that ended up pushing Putin to take control of Ukraine, or whatever it is that he's trying to make sense of. But he definitely is somebody who is not belligerent towards Russia or towards President Putin, and he does want a resolution when it comes to the Ukraine-Russia conflict. But on a larger scale, with regards to his demand that Greenland be handed over to United States of America, can NATO really do anything than to be sitting ducks?
Good evening, Megha. Thank you for inviting me for your show. Compliments to very distinguished and esteemed co-panelists. They deserve to have definitely the final say on the subject. But allow me to very quickly reflect upon the issue. Why suddenly Greenland? Is Greenland issue or demand from his side a sudden one, or it has been building up? It has been building up since his first tenure. One of the senators and couple of businessmen there have been eluding and trying to build the narrative to go in for the Greenland. Secondly, why now in the second tenure? Second tenure is because there is too much of domestic constituency pressures, so that he is looking for distraction and diversion. Is there anything else other than the domestic pressures? Yes. What is it? He wants somehow or the other live up to his commitment and bring peace and normalcy to this mindless conflict between Russia and Ukraine. So why is he looking at Greenland? Greenland is also a diversion which will divert the attention of the European countries, which they have got together, galvanized the effort in support of Ukraine, except for the right wing in Germany. So why is he harping on this? Is he actually going to go in for it? The entire 1 hour 20 minutes of talk today by Donald Trump has not given any justification worth any penny's worth today, except for one thing, that we gave everything to NATO and got nothing in return. That also does not. But the hidden point which he's actually not been able to dwell on adequately is the Golden Dome. In Cold War 1.0, they had more than 14 bases in Greenland. And the bases were meant basically to safeguard and protect, as also give the monitoring and the surveillance capability which are required to keep an eye on the anticipated or the trajectory of the oncoming projectiles from USSR. But USA arbitrarily withdrew from the anti-ballistic missile treaty, which was signed in 1972 in the year 2002, consequent to which the number of bases have come down drastically from more than 14 to only one base. If they had more than 14 bases at that point in time in Cold War 1.0 for Iron Dome, or call it by any name, why is it not exercising the similar mandate to go in for similar kind or more number of bases in Greenland for the Golden Dome? There is no answer. So if there is no answer, my logic says it is just a gimmick, and the pushback must be given, like Ambassador Mam has very nicely articulated. It is not the question of whether Donald Trump is wanting to achieve something or not. It is the issue that does the global order in 21st century sit like a lame duck and accept one man's bullying tactics? No, the answer is no. It is the contestation between...
At one point, there are these blocks or cliques that have been created. When Venezuela was attacked by Trump, all the European countries, NATO countries came out and supported Trump. When the conflict that happened between Pakistan and India, I don't think there was any questions that were raised by Europe with regards to the treatment that was being given by Trump to Pakistan. A preferential treatment, it's like rolling out the red carpet. So here, when you are wanting the world to come together against America, can it really happen? And up until now, Trump has been...
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने, सब कुछ मजेदार बने। MDH
लाल रंग इसका अपार, तीखा कम है फिर भी स्वाद, बेमिसाल बेमिसाल MDH कश्मीरी।
MDH कश्मीरी।
MDH।
Welcome back. You're watching NewsX. My name is Vineet Malhotra. Some breaking news coming in. Delhi court has acquitted former Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal in 2 cases filed by the ED against him for skipping agency summons in the excise policy case. The ED had alleged that Kejriwal deliberately ignored repeated summons to join the investigation. Sambhav, my colleague, is joining us on the broadcast to talk more about this. Sambhav, well, big respite for Arvind Kejriwal and some sort of, a validation as well to what he's been saying all along.
Well, absolutely, it's a PMLA case where the hearing in the Delhi Rouse Revenue Court is going on, and this is a particular case where former Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has got an acquittal from the Delhi Rouse Revenue Court, as you rightly pointed out, in 2 cases filed by the Enforcement Directorate seeking action against him for skipping the Enforcement Directorate summons in the excise policy case. Remember, the excise policy case is going on in, the trial is going on in Rouse Revenue Court, but here this is a particular case where Enforcement Directorate moved the Rouse Revenue Court in February 2024 against Arvind Kejriwal for non-compliance with the summons issued by the Enforcement Directorate under Section 50 of Prevention of Money Laundering Act. And Kejriwal back then had chosen not to appear before the Enforcement Directorate despite issuance of 4 to 5 summons to him on different dates in the connection with this same alleged scam. So here the Additional Chief Judicial Magistrate Paras Dalal of the Rouse Avenue Court has passed this order acquitting former Delhi Chief Minister Kejriwal in the two cases seeking action against him for escaping the agency's summon, although the main case is going on in the Delhi's Rouse Avenue Court.
Sambhav, appreciate you joining us. Greenland, a vast Arctic island, ice-covered for much of the year, home to about 60,000 people and a self-governing territory within the Kingdom of Denmark. For decades, it has been quietly important due to its strategic location between North America, Russia and Europe, but it has never been at the center of a geopolitical storm like it is today. In early 2026, US President Donald Trump reignited a global debate with bold statements about Greenland's future, sending shockwaves through NATO, igniting European unity and forcing the world to re-examine Arctic geopolitics. Let's unpack what Trump wanted, what he's actually getting, and Europe's response, the role of rare earth minerals, military implications, and what it all means for global power. Hello and welcome to another episode of Deep Dive brought to you by NewsX. My name is Vineet Malhotra and today we will be unpacking all the details that have recently been coming to light. Well, at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, Trump made headlines by again pushing for US influence and potentially control over Greenland. He argued that Greenland is vital for US national security and for countering influence from Russia and China. He portrayed the island as undefended and strategically critical, even claiming that the United States saved Greenland during World War II and later gave it to Denmark. He explicitly said he would not use military force, marking a shift from earlier rhetoric, but signaled that the United States could pursue agreement through negotiations. Trump linked Greenland's security to NATO's strength and highlighted the island's proximity to Russia and China as justification for enhanced US involvement. Trump also took to social media to make a statement and say that he had a very productive meeting with the Secretary General of NATO, Mark Rutte, and that he has formed a framework of a future deal. He also stated that he would not be imposing tariffs that were initially scheduled to go into effect on the 1st of February. Now, when we think about what Trump had set out to achieve from this, starting off with control or ownership of Greenland, Trump's public statements revived his earlier idea of acquiring Greenland, a move that would, in effect, transfer sovereignty from Denmark to the United States. Although he backed away from force, he said he wanted negotiations to again discuss the acquisition of Greenland and indicated that the US would remember if Europe refused. Trump has also emphasized Greenland's role for Arctic defense and proposed greater US military deployment under what he described as strategic necessity, including ideas like a Golden Dome missile defense system, a network intended to shield North America. The United States already operates the Pitufik space base in northern Greenland, but Trump aimed to significantly expand American military influence. While Trump publicly denied that rare earth elements were the motivation, insisting Greenland was about security, not resources, analysts point to the island's vast deposits of rare earth minerals like cobalt, lithium, graphite, and potentially uranium. Control over these resources would be geopolitically valuable. Rare earths are crucial for high-tech manufacturing, advanced weaponry and renewable energy supply chains, sectors where China currently dominates. To pressure Denmark and other NATO allies, Trump threatened tariffs, announcing plans to impose a 10% tariff on imports from Denmark and 7 other European countries if no Greenland deal was reached. Well, this created alarm in Brussels and London. The European Parliament even suspended progress on a US-EU trade deal in protest. As Donald Trump pushed his Greenland pitch, Europe drew a firm red line. Denmark made it clear that Greenland is not for sale and that its sovereignty is not negotiable. NATO also moved to shut down speculation, with Secretary General Mark Rutte stating that Greenland